Welcome to Engineering Scale Models. I'm your host, Jason, and this is where the details live. Let's start this update Monday with the joke of the day. Why can't you trust an atom? Because they make up everything. All right. All jokes aside, wow, this update's getting along a little faster than I anticipated. Okay, guys, here's the deal. Here's a side view of the bench, and I'm gonna pull that off. And I'm going to put that there. That is boiling water. We're going to deal with that here in a minute. So, let us go to the overhead camera and talk about the Indianapolis, because this is going to apply to the Alaska when I start that project, because I am interested in this technique here. And if you can see here, there are doors on the Indianapolis. Right here, you know, and they're plastic doors, and I'm going to replace them on the Alaska with photo etch. If you notice, I drilled out the portholes on the Indianapolis, and that looks much better than the plastic there. And if I have an open door or open hatch on the Alaska, I want to have an open door with a frame, but I want to have the slot milled out perfectly so the frame sits on there and it's a nice open door. I don't want to have plastic behind it. So that's what this update is going to be revolving around, because I basically going to revolve around that. So before I explain what I'm doing here, I'm going to pop into this camera here. And this is a mug warmer, basically. And I'm going to crank this down to about 160. And I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to take my water that was just boiling in my tea kettle that boiled in like no time, which is incredible, and I'll show you what tea kettle it is in a second. But I want to pour it into this dish here, up to that thermostat. It was probably too much water. Let's turn that off. Let's lower that thermostat a little bit. Okay, so we're at... yeah, it's climbing here. You can see that. So here's what I have while that sits there. I have some of this stuff here called Instamorph moldable plastic, and it takes about 150 degrees. And along with that, I also got a little box of this polyplastic, which is another moldable plastic. It heats up in 150 degree water. You can reheat it, remold it, all that stuff. And it even came with some dye pellets so you can change the colors. And there's even plastic strips that are moldable in hot water, and these plastic cards that I'm definitely keeping one in my wallet in case I need to mold something. And I'm going to show you how this stuff works and how durable it is in a minute. But I have a Proxxon mini mill. I can't get it down right now. Actually, I could probably show you a picture of it with this webcam. So if I switch over to there, that's my Proxxon mini mill. It's got a table on it that's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate on depth. So that's my Proxxon mini mill. I have the end mills. I need to mill out the doors. The problem is clamping it onto the table and holding the part steady so I can drill a hole that's perfect that the frame will go over, because the frame is 0.2 millimeters at the most, at the widest. So there's not a lot of play there. If the hole's too big, then the frame's going to fall through. If the hole's too small, you're still going to see plastic, and I don't want that. So I'm looking for a way to lock it down into the table And I'm not going to drill out every single door for an open door, but it's going to be on different shaped pieces. It may be on a piece like this here. It may be on a longer superstructure piece like that. And yeah, this one I could probably clamp in there. I really don't have anything here, but my goal is with this moldable plastic, which is still too hot, we're cooling it down. With this moldable plastic, I was planning on making a piece to fill the void here, and then that will give me something to clamp down to. I can clamp onto that, and then I can clamp it here, and then that'll be stationary in the clamp, and then I can mill out the spot I want to mill out, because it doesn't matter. This stuff can be milled just as easily as the polystyrene can be milled, so I don't have to worry about putting a tool in there. If I hit it with the tool, I mill some out. Like I said, I can remelt it and remold it. And when I got this in, the day before yesterday, maybe, it says it sticks to polystyrene. It did not say that in the description when I was looking at this, and it didn't say that on the video I watched. So it came with this here, which I'm not going to use in the future, but I'm going to use it one time. This is a silicone mold putty. It's a part A and part B. So what I'm going to do is mix up these two parts and then make a impression of the piece that I want to clamp, and then in turn make the clamp part, the part I need, out of the plastic using the molds, because it won't stick to these molds. Well, you're saying, oh, you're going to make a mold every time you need to do that. You're going to go through this expensive silicone pretty fast. And yeah, you're right. I would go through that pretty fast. But I have two options I'm going to try. I have this 100% silicone. This is like $1 something a tube. And you can mix this with cornstarch and a smidge of water, and you can make a silicone mold out of it. It hardens in like 30 minutes. And you just coat everything with cornstarch. You mix this with cornstarch real well, and you can make a mold out of silicone. And I might demonstrate that after I do I've never done it this way before, but I've seen tons of videos, and I know it's possible. So I'll be doing some testing on that, and if that works out, I'll be showing you some molding on that, and actually how to cast parts for Warhammer Wednesday on that. But mainly what I got, and this stuff is pretty neat, I got a sample piece of this, and I used it, and I could not remember the name of it, and I found it. It is called Composite Mold. Well, this is a used pack of it. It's completely reusable for mold making. They use a food safe version for chocolate molds and things like that. And basically, it is a rubbery substance like so. I'm going to cut this out here like so, and we'll talk about this stuff. And like I said, this is completely reusable in hot water, and which we're gonna talk about that in a minute here. I'm gonna trim this block up, and I'm gonna do a demonstration real quick here how moldable this stuff gets in the hot water. So I'm going to switch over to the webcam here, and I'm going to dip that in there, and I'm going to attempt to fish it out, and I'm going to switch back over to overhead. And then as you can see, it gets moldable. You're going to want to coat what you want to mold in cornstarch, but you can make a mold out of this stuff. It's super sticky, and I didn't heat it up enough, but as you can see, you can mold it and you can make cast parts, and it cleans up. It'll stick to itself while it's still warm. So, but you can make cast parts. I coat them in, you can either coat them in Vaseline, or you can coat them in cornstarch, or I wouldn't recommend medicated baking powder or anything medicated. Just pure cornstarch or talcum powder, pure baby powder, things like that. You can get cornstarch the cheapest. It's refined. I know it's for cooking, but you can get a good size bottle of it, and you just basically dust the part that you want to take an impression of. Heat this stuff up, pop it in there. It'll if it's hot enough, it'll fill all the nooks and crannies, and then you'll have a mold of your object. It's not quite as good as the blue stuff or that Japanese or a Guru or whatever it is, but it is a quick molding thing that does work. It's very cheap. That used stuff is very, very cheap. So, but I want to talk about this moldable plastic. So what I'm going to do is, this is about 10 degrees hotter than I want it, but I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to drop my mug warmer down to about 148, and we're going to go here. So this is my second bag of Instamorph, because I have used this stuff to make tool handles and all kinds of weird stuff like that. So basically, you come prepared and you have a cup. So I have a little cup here, and I'm going to put one of these cups full right in there. And I'm going to zip up. The Instamorph's nice. It's in a Ziploc bag, but I like the poly plastic fact that it has the container, and then you just mix it around, and it takes about 2 minutes. Now that I added that to it, it's coming down in temperature. It's about 157 is what you wanted, about 150, and we'll just let that sit for a minute. Excuse me. While that sits for a minute, I want to talk about the pot. This is a Procter Stills tea kettle. It's a half-liter tea kettle. I didn't need anything extreme. It has a wireless base with a very short cord, I might add, which is irritating. So I had to put it off camera because I don't have a plug that close to plug it in. But I will show you the box here. Here is there's the Spanish part of the box, and then there's the English part of the box. It's a compact size 0.5 liter cordless kettle. It boiled half a liter of water in the time it took me to set the video up to start recording, so it was boiling right away, which is fantastic. Yesterday I tried to heat up the water from cold on this mug warmer that supposedly gets to 200 degrees, but it's mainly to hold the temperature. It didn't get past 123 or 125, so I opted for the tea kettle to preheat the water, and then I will keep it on the mug warmer while I'm working with either the molding stuff, the reusable mold stuff, or I'm working with this moldable plastic. So let that go for a little bit. Now should be about let's see here, let's feel this. That needs more time. So the water's cooling rapidly. I'm going to turn my mug warmer back up. So if you look at the instructions, it says 150 degrees Fahrenheit, 66 Celsius. You pour it in, you wait 2 minutes, you remove it, and you mold it, and you create. You can mold, cut, drill, finish. You can do all kinds of stuff. And it does stick to things. If I mold it in anything, I use a ceramic tile. I have had luck in the past by coating parts in talcum powder and wrapping them with the plastic and then getting them back out, and then I've had bad results doing that also. So that's not something I'm going to recommend. Vaseline did help a lot more. All right, so I'm going to pull this out of here. So here we go. Here's what we got. We got this all here, and then now we can mold this into the shape we want. So if we want a fixture for our vise, or jaws for our vise, or something to, hold on to, we can come in here. I'll actually get my vise here, and I'll show you how the molding goes. Because I can come in here like this, and I can squeeze that like that, and then I can, make a little platform up here. I can rub my finger on it, make it flat here. And then I have a nice little, T-shaped. It's got the hole marker so it could reline up. But basically I could shape this, and then I could, if this is going to get rock hard, you could put it in the freezer to get harder faster. But we're going to just wipe up some of this water. Normally I have a mat down, but it messes with the camera, so dry it off. So this is starting, it's pliable now, but it's going to harden up here very shortly. And while that does that, I want to show you one of these plastic strips, because the water is still good to go. So this is the plastic strip. See, it's about 2 millimeters thick, does it say? It's a 1/16 of an inch thick. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this off here. I want to see if it cuts like styrene. Not exactly like styrene. So, kind of concerned how flimsy this is, if this is going to actually get as hard as the Instamorph does. Okay, so I'm going to dunk that in the water and let that spin around a little bit. Put this other strip back. And we'll take a look at this color mixing chart, why this works there. So we have, this is the Polyplastics color mixing chart, so you can get any of these different colors, and I don't know if I really care about the whole color mixing chart, but you add however many tablespoons of clear, you add 3, 6, 10 of the colors, like 1 red, 2 white for 1 tablespoon of clear. And here is the instructions for the Polyplastic. I recommend the Polyplastic over the Instamorph. I've had mixed results on the Instamorph. I basically heat up the water at 150, and then after a few minutes the pellets will turn completely clear and begin clumping together. Remove it, shake it off, wear gloves to avoid burns, and this is where it gets to you. Take care that the hot plastic doesn't stick to things you don't want it to, such as fingernail polish, fabrics, metal, or certain plastics: acrylic, vinyl, PVC, polystyrene, PET, or ABS. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but I am going to use a piece of ceramic tile until I get more of what my bench is covered in, and I can show you that with the web camera here. If you look here, this is a layer of 1/4 inch pure virgin polypropylene, and nothing sticks to polypropylene. So that's just the thing. I can't, well, you can hot weld it, but That's about all you're going to get to stick to polypropylene. Love the stuff. Super glue doesn't stick. Epoxies doesn't stick. It's fantastic stuff. If you have a bench, cover it in polypropylene. It's a little expensive, but I plan on getting some offcuts, about 4x6 and 5x8, and then I'll have a surface to work on, mold on, and all that stuff. So let's see how this plastic strip is sticking to the spoon. So we're going to let that float in there without the spoon. So it's not clear yet, so it definitely wants to stick. But let's just see what it does here. Well, see, now we have this, and then we can, if we need to bend an angle into it, and then we could use that, and we could, make it thicker, attach it to like this piece, and then we would have a way to clamp something down on a fixture. So there's tons of different possibilities, and now that this, see how this has turned white here? This is rock hard. That's rock hard right there. I could probably use the back of my knife and scrape it. See, so I could even work that with the back of my knife. Even the front of my knife. When it gets all clear, you can drill it, and you can do all kinds of things. You can shave it off with your scalpel. So and like I said, it's completely reusable. You can dunk it back in the 150 degree water, wait a good bit of time because it's not in pellets anymore. Sorry about that, guys. It's not going to be in pellets anymore, so it's going to take a lot longer to heat up and things like that. So that is the molding stuff. I have some silicone. I have that composite mold, which is going to be sticky and messy, but it's going to work. And then we have these plastic strips and all that good stuff. Now, let's talk about the quad mount bolfers that I have not put up part 2 of the video. They're not finished yet. I still have a little bit of recording to do, but it's almost done. They're very close, but I have 3 hours of recording already, and it's going to record it's probably going to be about another hour of recording. So I have to edit all that down. So I'm hoping that this week I can get that video out. I'm going to try very hard by Friday, but it may be Saturday or it may be early next week. I'm trying very hard, guys. It is very difficult to film tiny stuff and also build it, and building them is no problem. It doesn't take that long, but filming it is a lot more difficult, and it burns me out a little bit. It really does, and it makes me want to quit earlier than I want to. So I'm trying to get it done, and then I'm not a huge fan of the editing side of it. So that's that on that, but I'm going to get the video out, and I'm also working on a video on annealing photo etch. It's not going to be as long as my first photo etch video with on tools and guide to photo etch and stuff like that, but that's in the works. And then the Alaska's actually, now that I come up with the last details I want to put on the Alaska, that build is going to be starting very soon. I'm going to be pulling the box out. I'm going to do a little bit more on this Indianapolis, and then I'm going to put her up for a little while. So, as always, I'm going to put up the links to social media. You can reach me on social media. I emailed, or I sent messages to the 5 winners of the giveaway, and nobody's responded to me. Next week, if nobody responds to me, I'm going to go with a backup winner. So I will get in contact with them. I know that the backup winner will respond because I've already talked to them about it. So I'm going to give the people I emailed another week to email me back, and if not, I'm going to have to go with the backup winner. So that's going to do that. If you want to support me on Patreon, feel free to do so. And that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic Monday.